welcome. My name's Beck and you're watching Kandi Barbie. I thought it's time we finally make some candy. So I've used my X base layout, which I will put here, to lay these beads out ready to make an X base cuff, and then we're going to do a 3D X on top. So we'll do the next layout after I do this cuff. And good thing I did, because I didn't have enough of this lime green, so we had to mix it with this other green. So we've got that all ready, and then with the extra lime green we're going to do a single that says "Oh my god." And then we've just added a couple of extra little fancy beads in there. Alright, let's start with the single. I only have stretchy cords, so that's what I'm going to use. I guess we only really need enough to go around my wrist, so let's see what that is, you know, with a bit extra obviously. Fantastic camera work, I know, maybe about that much. Okay, and then did I bring scissors? Yes I did. Alright, boom. I normally like to use a needle, but because it's just a single, we'll just use the thread. Make sure I'm holding the other side. Where should we start? I think we'll start here. Is that going to work? I'm going to make sure the words are going the right way. Okay, maybe we're going to start here. So much easier if it's all laid out. I would have put it on my sticky mat, but I don't know where I put the stuff to make the second one. And the first one is full of words. If you have watched my last two videos, you will see that. Get in there. Okay, here we go. Oh. My God. Am I even saying that right? I'm not the right generation, but my kids are. And I think all of their slang sounds very funny. So yeah, I've done this phrase in every single colour, but some of them I'm still looking for a couple of more letters in the right colour. So I did 30 beads all together with a couple of extra. These ones I think were extra twos. So we'll have to see if that fits on my wrist. So my wrist is 30 beads rounds. Well, yeah, time flies when you've already sorted the beads, doesn't it? Love these iridescent ones. These came from the mix pack. I can't see where the thing is. Make sure our teddy is around the right way. He does spin though. These are hard to see. Here we go. Boom. Boom. Okay, now we can change my camera angle. Because of where I laid the beads out, I couldn't have it this way before. Okay. I'll just do a tie and check if it's on my wrist. Yeah, I think that's good. And yep, it works. Okay. So I like to tie it. Where are we? Double, triple knot, and then I use a bit of nail glue. So 2, 3, and then so I just separate these beads, hold that with my finger, and And then I'm just going to dab a bit of glue on there, but not so much that it's going to actually touch my finger. Because super glue is just such a pain. So I've got this brush on glue from Kmart. And I will take most of the glue off the brush. I'd be less unco, but I'm looking through the camera. And then I will just touch it. I'm going to stop looking through the camera now because I really don't want super glue on my fingers. And yeah, just enough that I know it's going into the knot, but it's not actually touching my fingers. And so I'll just leave that for a second. Let's put the lid back on. Yep. And then, yeah, I think that's good. And then we'll chop these ends off nice and close. You gotta wait till it sort of sets a little bit. We might wait. We'll let that set. But yeah, it's super cute. Oh, which way does it go? Let's put it down. So cute. Looks small, but it fits on my wrist. Okay, so then we're going to move on to these bad boys. So I'm going to string it like this so you can see what I'm doing, because I kind of go from 2D to 3D with these cuffs. These are extra words from last night. But yeah, you can see what my lineup was. Okay, for this one we're making an X-base cuff. That's what I've laid out. And we're just going to use the thread that I had. I'm just going to hang on to the end like that. And I'm going to use the needle to start. But later on with these matte black beads, then the eye of the needle isn't going to go all the way through. So I'll just have to use the ends like I just did on the other beads. So let's get positioned. And then by the time we finish that X-base cuff, we'll cut the ends off the first bracelet and it will be ready. I think it turned out really cute. We'll definitely use that pattern for more. So, boop. Okay, so we're going to go our 30 beads in the pattern of 2 pink, 1 lime, and the lime greens alternate each time as well. So, pink, pink, green, and I lost my straight needle. For some reason I've only got this curved one. So I'll let that go to the end, but I'm holding on to it. And I'll meet you back once I've got that first line on. Okay, that is our 30 beads on. And yay, we ended correctly with the alternating greens. And so we're just going to tie that off. We can move this down so there's like just enough string to tie it off. And I tie off the same way with the glue. And I'll show you what I mean by like going from 2D to 3D. So I'm doing like a square knot. Not sure. That one's tight. Then bring this one down. And then do one more. Get our super glue. So yeah, I'll just pull that tight. I'll separate these out. Can't remember how I was holding it before. With that finger. Let's put a little dab of glue on there. Just enough to go into the knot, but not on my finger. Okay, we'll let that settle and then we're going to cut that off in a minute. Okay, so then our next row, we're going to go up through here. The next lot of beads are 3 beads in between each green one. So we have the 2 hot pink glitters with a matte black bead. So I might have to do some of this without the needle. So I don't know how that's going to go. I know lots of people do it, so let's see. Yeah, so there we go. We go pink. I'll take my needle off. Pink, black, pink will be our little point. Black and pink. So I could put the needle back on now if I want to, but I don't know if I'll bother. And then we go through the next green. And by the time I come back to the start, I'll be ready to cut that short bit off. And then we just rearrange it so that we get the point. So I'm going to go all the way around and meet you back. Okay, this layer is all finished and we're still in the 2D. It still lays flat. And so I finished here. I cut off that little string and then I wove back up in here. I still can't put my needle on. So now we're going to do the other side of the X, which is 2 pinks and the green. And this is the last row. And this is where I normally like to put it into the 3D. So I will start holding it this way. And so we will go pink, green, pink. So I lay all these around this way. So we go pink. Yeah, and then we'll make sure the lime green matches. So pink. And when I run out of string, which is very soon, I am going to just tie another one on. Go. Pink. Green. And pink. And then I have to go back through the black bead, which is a little bit tricky. But here you can see we're just going straight through. These are the points. So, through there. Easy. And then we're starting to build the cuff this way. And you get your X. So we'll do pink, green, pink one more time. And our green is going to match this green. So if you don't have enough beads, just add an extra colour. Pink. Oh my gosh. Green. Pink. And then you can also like hold it tight there. Go through the black bead. There we go. There we are, and there's your X. So I'm going to go all the way around flipping these, so I'm holding it like this, putting my beads here and going through the black. And then I'll meet you back for the very last row. Okay, this is where I'm up to. You can still lay it flat. I've just got 2 more to do. But I did tie it off in here, which I'm just waiting for it to dry. Did I already? I don't know where the end of it went. I must have cut it off. And then I've also tied it here. I just cut a boatload. And then I opened this one from Temu. It's a lot thinner, so we'll use it on something else. And so yeah, I'll just let this dry, cut those ends off, finish this, and then we'll get to the last row. Okay, so I finished that. I ended up having to cut that string because the knot would not go through the black bead, which I tied it off. I tied it off like before the black bead, and then I've just, I can't even see where it is anymore. And then I've just come up into this, or is that there? No, and then I tied the new string on here. And I did put glue on it. So anyway, next layer, so we can still lay this flat if you want to. So you could build this whole thing, the first 3 rows flat, and then hold it this way, because now it's definitely going to go too deep. And we just got to finish off the row of the sets of 2 pink that we started with, which is over here. So the 10 sets of 2, and I got my needle back on because you don't have to go through this small bead anymore. We are going from green bead to green bead, and this will finish your X base cuff. And then we're going to build the 3D X on top. So, ta-da! You got your X and your 2 sides. So I'm going to go around and do that and meet you back. Got lots of string on here now, so we should be able to get through the 3D X as well. Alright, ta-da! The X base is finished, and it's truly 3D now. We can't lay it down flat. It only goes this way. So we're going to do the next layer for the 3D X, which is just going to be a big X that goes from here to here. The way we're going to do it is 5 beads that go between the 2 greens, and the middle bead is going to be something fancy. I don't want to go too fancy on the base because it's going to be on your wrist, and so you don't want like anything 3D kind of like hurting your wrist. But then on top we can go a little crazy. So I'm going to find some focal beads. I already have something in mind for the middle of the top 3D X's. And then I also have something in mind for one big focal bead on one of the X's. So all of them are going to have small beads, and one of them is going to have something even bigger. So I'm just going to go plan that out now and then come back. Okay, here is my layout. Here's the template. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yep, these are the 5s. This is the first row. And then we finish the X by going 2 into the middle, 2 onto the outside, 2, middle, 2, outside. And so I've made it even that we have this plain X in the very middle, and on top of that we're going to put on our octo. So that's the next row. And then either side we have a pattern bead with the hot pink. Then we have a shape with the black. We have a bead with a symbol on each side with black, with green clear. It's not the glitter one. Then we have a pink square. They're both inverted. So this is dark pink with light pink with a white, and they have black beads. And then one more, which is this big faceted black bead with pink beads on either side for the X. But this is actually going to be our middle. But I am going to start from here with the 5 for the whole row, and then we come back and finish with these beads. Okay. Right. 1, 2. Oh, I can't use my needle. Take that off. 3, 4, and 5, and then into the green bead. Oh, it's Dave at the door. And then we get that big X on the top. Am I going through the right beads? I think so. Let's hope so. Okay, so then through the last green there, and then we're going to go up into here, or out of here. Before I start the next row, I'm just going back around and just cinching everything nice and tight. That finishes our 3D X's. So then 2 green up into here, 2 green down into there. here is the cuff all finished, tied off, and all of my 3D X's. And on our X here is where we're going to put our little octo. So let's get him all strung up. I'm going to use a new piece of string for him. The first thing I'm going to do is use my needle to poke through the holes, and then I'm going to use a new piece of, well, I'm going to chop that so there's a little bit left so we can chop it closer later while the glue sets. And then we're going to use this little end bit to go through the holes on both sides and then even it up. We're then going to thread this through the pink bead like a ladder stitch. And then there's another loop at the back of the octo. I'm going to put these two threads through that top loop there. And then we're going to tie them to the beads up the top and glue the knot. And then we are going to be finished. We're just going to let the glue set before we trim off all the tails. And then we're going to have a look at our final shots of the 2 bracelets that we made today. Here is our finished cuff. I think it turned out pretty cute. Put it on. Yes. And then we have our single. Oh my god. So much for watching. If you like what you see, please help me out with a like, a comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.